Hello, I am Barendipitous, and we now have Battle Pass Season 11 here upon us, the Jaguar Kingdom. Very, very cool. I'm very excited about this Battle Pass. There are a number of lore reasons for that. But, of course, that also means a new web novel experience on brawlhalla.com/Battle Pass. And just like I did with Season 9 with Apocalypse, and also I I didn't do it as much with season 10, but I do still plan on releasing those videos reacting to that story there as well. But we're definitely going to do that here also. So I'm going to release one video per chapter, reacting to each chapter. And then later I'm going to have one video that just has me reading through the whole thing all together. So this is the start of me reacting to each of the individual chapters. Today, today is March 1st. So we're still kind of in the middle of the Battle Pass reveal week here. You can kind of see Slow Mo's the last one who revealed something. Skulky and myself are tomorrow, March 2nd. That'll be exciting. But I will also say that I have read the first two chapters already. And that's what I'm going to go over in this video. I'm going to read these two chapters and kind of talk about them a little bit. These sort of react videos are going to be where my theorizing is. I have my theorizing hat here for that. But then again, in the longer video of me reading through the whole thing, it'll just be reading like an audiobook kind of a thing. So, but yeah, like I said, I've read these two chapters before, but we got to start somewhere. I do not know the rest of the story. I've not read anything else. I've only seen like screenshots here or there. I don't know what's exactly going on between Loki and Queen Nai and Chell and Asuri, whoever else. Anyway, so let's dive right in, shall we? Chapter 1, Embers of the Empire. Under the days of old, where forests stood tall and lush. Oops. Great warriors of the Jaguar Kingdom lived with and among the godly pantheon that granted them their power. I'm not going to push spacebar. Apparently clicking is the way to go. Prosperity was abundant, and fields grew rife with bountiful harvests. Impossible monuments were built in praise of their patron gods. Content with their great kingdom, the gods retreated into a deep slumber. Yet in time, the people grew spoiled and restless in the absence of the gods. The voices of their divine had all been forgotten. In the fateful dawn of the darkest day, a group was seized by terrible greed. Plundering the resting place of their gods, they stole every piece they could from the dreaming and powerless. A blasphemous act, for the weeping wounds of the slain gods bore curses most bitter and spiteful. A mysterious and deadly disease claimed man, and endless rains flooded down ceaselessly. The once glorious kingdom endured a slow death of 5 centuries and a day. Yet even in the dying days of the empire, the stories still tell of one final feat of its penultimate ruler. As the story goes, penultimate ruler. The Collected Archives of the Drowned Empire, 2nd edition, Jost et al., THNX, DHED, RIDHBP, DDSP. I want to pause here to point something out really quick. So, Battle Pass 8, I'm not sure which one of these it is exactly, but I'm pretty sure all those initials are in one of these, kind of like test log things. But anyway, suffice it to say, all those initials are a reference to this stuff in Terminus, THNX, and all of that. THNX is like kind of sort of the experimentation sort of company or group in Terminus. I forgot exactly what it means. I don't know what the other ones mean, but I'm guessing it's other like research branches out there. So, anyway, just wanted to point that out. And also, this reads very much like the title of an academic book or encyclopedia or something like that. Jost et al. That basically means Jost is the name of one of the people who wrote this, and et al. Means everyone else involved, essentially. So the 2nd edition of the Collected Archives of the Drowned Empire, people at Terminus probably under Loki's command, are researching the Jaguar Kingdom, essentially. It's also interesting they said penultimate ruler. All the stuff they're talking about is, you can see, basically that seems to reference Queen Nai's lore. When the Jaguar Kingdom was crumbling, she did this ritual as a last-ditch effort to absorb 11 gods from her pantheon into herself, so that she can sort of let them gain power and everything. So that's what her signatures are. Those are the 11 gods that she absorbed from her pantheon. The fact that she's the penultimate ruler is very interesting. I'm guessing they're mentioning that because maybe the last ruler, penultimate is second to last, right? So last ruler is probably something like Chell, or maybe Queen Nai herself again. But anyway, that is chapter 1, basically a sort of prologue. So, very cool. Chapter 2, The Interloper. A heavy rain thrummed against the leaves of the jungle trees, jostling the undergrowth with a constant pulsing murmur. I think it's funny that the word jostling is there right after we learned that Jost is one of the names of the people who helped write that collective archive, or whatever, or put that collected archive together. Anyway, I don't think that means anything. In the past weeks, the rains had not relented for even a second. Every surface was slick, wet, and quite unpleasant. Perhaps the sun shone eternal somewhere far away. But in the heart of this forest, there was only the ceaseless beating of the rain upon its weary back. Even the ferns slumped and rotted, half submerged and drowning. Eternal suns, probably kind of like, reminiscing about Brawlhalla or something. The water had turned the forest floor into a mire. Small rivers of rainwater carved through the mud, dragging away bits of floating, rotten foliage. A figure slashed through the vegetation with ease, his boots squelching with every step. Ah, Loki looks so cool. And you're quite certain that you've finally located it? The maps from our informant were quite outdated. It took me ages to even find a populated village. Yes, I believe I've successfully triangulated the locations of the artifacts, Luminary Officer. Finally. I've been here so long that I've taken fashion tips from the locals. Innovative stuff, Quite menacing, too. By the way, I just have to point out this cute little snake, this little snack here, making also being rather expressive along with Loki. Loki's happy face and happy lines, and the snake's happy face. I love it. I think I'll be taking this garb with me once we're finished here. Doesn't help much with the rain, though, I must say. You look positively dashing, sir. Researcher Jones, by the way. Researcher Jones has made a comeback once again from Battle Pass Season 8. Jones is one of the only researchers that had a name in the Battle Pass Season 8. So, anyway. So, yeah. Some of the lore nerds in the Brawlhalla Lore Book Club Discord server have been speculating or doing headcanons about Researcher Jones and Loki having some kind of relationship. Although, if Loki is Researcher Jones's boss, there's a little bit of a conflict of interest there. Anyway, whatever. Sorry about the rain. I'll make it a note to the product managers to include a rain jacket in future iterations of the EZ Prep TM kit. Anyways, thanks to the additional field data you've gathered, I was able to implement the necessary interdimensional interlocutory integration needed to identify its immediate whereabouts. We're supported by the historical records we've recovered from the future, too. In a Mesoamerican History 201 textbook, 7th edition, it said that this temple was found looted of its treasures with only a scant vandalism left on its steels. Loki, Snakeface, and a lovingly drawn snake. So this is, Loki is able to, Loki and his team are definitely going to different timelines. This is mentioned in Battle Pass Season 8 too. My understanding is, theorizing here, but pretty heavily supported theorizing. My understanding is that Loki is essentially going to different timelines, different dimensions, these different battle passes, maybe even pulling people from those different dimensions, and as a way to sort of experiment on how to prevent Ragnarok from happening. So I guess this is just kind of one of his many expeditions and research works, field research. And there's evidence here of like basically what researcher Jones is saying here is that the team found evidence that Loki was here in a textbook from like modern day about the ancient past. So yeah, I think that's really cool. Just like a way to sort of mark that, like, you should, I've been here, so you should be here, or whatever, that kind of thing. Time loops, it's weird. It is an anachronistic graffito that has puzzled anthropologists for generations. In any case, you should be standing in front of the doors to a temple dedicated to one of the ancient gods of the Empire of the Jaguar Kingdom. There doesn't seem to be any mention of a lock or anything, but it says that the temple door is sealed shut. I don't suppose you have a crowbar. An icy blue energy sparkled at Loki's fingertips. This is his portal magic. What you see with his signatures, when you see like those blue portals, he's an expert at portalmancy. That's his lore has confirmed that. It refracted and warped, contorting into 3 tightly wound coils that began to deepen into a dark cobalt behind him, ripples between space and time. Without so much as a blink, iridescent blades, chains affixed to their hilts, lashed out from the depths of the deep blue portals. The blades sank into the rock face of the temple door with ease, sending a fine spray of dust and water droplets into the undergrowth. With a lazy flick of his hand, the chains pulled taut. Blue sparks fizzled, and cracks crawled across the surface of the stone like spider webs. Shuddering and groaning, the temple door gave out, crumbling into a mound of wet rubble. I found the company crowbar! It's open. This little snake face read this OVO, like OVO? This is a new emoji in the Brawlhalla Lore Book Club Discord server. It's so adorable. Anyway. Now, do you know anything about the layout? Floor plans? Ancient maps of some kind? We've paid for premium access to a number of scientific journal databases, so I'm sure there's something. So I work at an academic library, right? A college, university, whatever library. And some of this dialogue right here is... it just kind of brought me back to like my work because libraries, especially academic libraries, as well as like scientific institutions, they purchase subscriptions. They spend a lot of money, like thousands of dollars, to purchase subscriptions to databases that have thousands, if not tens or hundreds of thousands of scientific or academic journals and articles. This allows the institution to grant free access to those articles for all of their employees and everyone in it. So a university library, and in some cases maybe even a public library, purchases those expensive subscriptions, so subscriptions to those databases, so that people can look up those articles for free. So if you're a university student or something and you're looking up an academic article, you're able to do that for free because of the money that's being spent on these databases. So a little bit of background there, and so I know that scientific institutions do the same thing. So, yes, well, L-Store and PubAnth didn't have anything good after the Digital Fire of Alexandria in 22X. Okay, I'm sorry. I need to pause a moment here as well. L-Store and PubAnth, those are references to actual databases. L-Store, I'm pretty sure, is a reference to JSTOR, just the letter J instead of an L. That JSTOR is one of the largest academic databases out there. And then PubAnth is, I think, kind of a reference to PubMed, like a medical database. And I think there are probably other databases that say pub something, like published whatever. So PubAnth would mean pub anthropology, right? So which would make sense here. Digital Fire of Alexandria, that's... I'd like to hear more about that, please, but I don't think we will. Anyway. But what I do have is this tabletop role-playing game campaign book inspired by the Empire of the Jaguar Kingdom. Sorry, this bit of dialogue is just amazing. There's so many like little things. I just love the writing here. Calamari Pop, by my understanding, is the writer here with help from Taza, and this is, my gosh, they just keep blowing me away all the time. Tabletop role-playing game that's like Dungeons & Dragons or Pathfinder or something like that. Campaign book, that's essentially like do I have one here? Yeah. Oh, no, I don't. Never mind. I don't have a book here, but like imagine like a book this is not a campaign book. This is a rule book for a different game. But imagine like a book, physical or digital, kind of like this, that just has information about like the area, like where monsters are, where you can find monsters and treasure and plot hooks and quests and things like that. All that is written in a book. That's a campaign book, a book for the campaign if you don't want to make your own campaign. So in the universe, in the multiverse of Brawlhalla, there is a tabletop role-playing game that has a campaign book inspired by the Empire of the Jaguar Kingdom. And I actually am in the process of creating a fan-made tabletop RPG role-playing game based on Brawlhalla. I'm not gonna... Campaign book is a lot, though. Anyway, moving on, though. Reviews say the campaign is quite historically accurate and well written. Given the loot table listed in the book, the artifact we've been looking for is probably located at the second subterranean floor of the dungeon, room D31. That is how a campaign book would describe a dungeon. You'd have like a map of the dungeon or whatever, and each room would have like a number or a label like D31 or A4 or something like that, right? And there would be like in a separate place a description of what is in room D31. I love this, man. The Brawlhalla devs are such nerds, and I'm here for it. This is fantastic. The resting chamber on the shrine to one of the slain gods, name unknown. So it's so funny to me that like they're not using a research book to like they're using a TTRPG campaign book that has a map in it for an actual bit of field research in Central South America somewhere for the Jaguar Kingdom. This is hilarious and awesome. This is definitely what Brawlhalla is all about. Absolutely, like to us, the audience, it's absolutely silly and ridiculous, but to them, they're treating this very seriously. Like, we found this, we believe it's historically accurate, we're going to use this. Anyway, okay, moving on. The ritual circle is already inscribed on the ground. All you need to do is place the artifact in the center of the circle and drop a bit of blood on it. It should activate after that. I'd be careful, though. There seems to be a lot of random encounters along the way. Boulder traps, swinging axes, pits of snakes. At the Game Master's discretion, of course. Excellent. I love snakes. Which is really funny because, of course, Indiana Jones hates snakes. So now we have someone who loves snakes. That's great. Mind the spike trap in the first room after the hallway, though. To your left. Carefully stepping over the rubble, Loki snapped his fingers, igniting a small blue flame in his palm. He held it aloft, washing the painted facades with faint blue light. Dry at last, he shivered. Once upon a time, the temple may have been filled with intricate carvings and murals, but in the dim light, the shadows seemed to deepen the gashes that had been scored over the eyes and limbs of the figures painted on the walls. The air was heavy and thick. The hair on the back of Loki's unmarred hand stood upright. Oh yeah, Loki has one blue hand that is affected by something, I don't know, and the other is normal. The faint traces of runic magic had started to dissipate. As they vanished, Loki could sense that the spells were electrifying remnants of a centuries-old seal, cast in the throes of panic. Something ancient once stirred here. Though it was long gone, the vestiges of its hatred lingered in every scar inflicted upon the steels. Loki carefully meandered through the piles of crumbled stone, wading in the memories of an ancient god. How curious. You were quite powerful, weren't you? Researcher Jones, how long must I walk before I reach the first room? Any traps to take note of? He stared at the transceiver on his left wrist. It buzzed with a cracking hum. Static. We developed the technology to talk through time and different planes, but not underground. Seriously? We can't be this underfunded. I've approved all of our TIH grants for the last century in all of our branches. Inexcusable. I'll have to have a word with management about project priorities when I get back to Terminus. Talking about scientific funding being underfunded or whatever. This is great. Like this is a fantastic, like the whole Terminus stuff is just a marvelous mix of like academia, scientific academia, and corporate management, and it's beautiful. I love it. I can imagine a fun little SCP crossover there if anyone ever wanted to do that. Anyway. Also, the transceiver. I love how the snake design on it. As he stepped forward, the floor shifted, then it sank. A distant click. A low rumble reverberated like the stomach of a growling beast. Pebbles clattered along the ground in small, frenzied hops. The light streaming in from the shattered doorway was snuffed out in an instant as something crunched and thudded in the entranceway. The ground shuddered. A massive boulder began to roll directly towards Loki. Ha! A classic! Loki balled his left hand into a fist as he dived toward the side. He could see the individual chisel marks, each and every grain on the surface of the stone, before he quickly splayed out his hand. His palm collided with the wall. An electric blue portal blossomed, spiraling out and darkening beneath his hand. With one quick vault, the surface of the portal rippled and shimmered as it swallowed him whole. The boulder barreled forward, sending up plumes of dust and crushed debris in its wake. A heartbeat later, a lurching crash echoed through the dark halls. Loki stepped out, unfazed. I bet Jones would have warned me about this. Loki reignited the flame in his hand and casually lobbed it down the hallway. Dust motes swirled in the air in the wake of the boulder's warpath. Suppressing a cough, he pushed onwards into the depths of the temple. His form melted into the dark, and the echo of his footsteps faded into the distance. An imperceptible rustle of leaves, the soft thump of footfalls in the sludge. A figure materialized at the remnants of the temple entrance. Their form cast a long, lone shadow along the length of the corridor. A flicker of light. The shadows flitted. Then it was gone, as if nothing had ever been there at all. All right, that is chapters 1 and 2. The next video will have me react to chapter 3. So, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, all the best.